Hi, my name is Matt. Welcome to the third part of the tutorial series when I show you how to make an RPG game mechanics. Today we will make our player moving and we will go through the basics of animator controller and we will add some first animation. Okay, so let's start. First, let's try to see any animation from raw mockup data done by our player. So let's, for example, just grab any animation, can be that, and just drag and drop our player on it. And as you see, nothing's happening. That's because this type of rig that our player has right now is set to generic, and the animation type of rig is set to humanoid. So we need to make some changes in our player model. And if you go here into our prefab and click select, there is nothing over here because we just selected the prefab. And we need to select the model that our prefab bases on. So go to the model, click this, because this was the model that our prefab inherits from, and change the animation type to humanoid. And then you can click apply or configure it by yourself, but as you see, it does everything automatically for you, so there is no need to. But you can just make those sliders, and that's weird. Okay, anyway, let's hit done. And now, if you would like to see any of raw mockup data animation played by our player, just drag and drop a player, and as you see, he does not move, and that's because over here in our animator controller we need to hit apply root motion, and in order to save changes into the prefab, hit apply. And I will show you now. Every animation is played as we want it to be. Okay, next what we need is our player character controller. So add an animation controller, going to play controller and drag and drop it onto the controller. Now open an animator window by pressing window, not animation but animator. Okay, we don't need assets to actually. Now let's create our first animation. Go to idle, grab idle ready, okay, and I'm gonna duplicate that and drag and drop it here. Also I'm gonna create a folder called animations, drag and drop those here. And the reason I'm doing that is because I like keep my data organized, and now I know where do I have an animations that I use. So call it idle or player idle or p idle, and drag and drop it on the animator window. Hit apply and click loop pause, loop time, and bake those. Okay. Okay, Now if you start the game, our idle animation is being played, and that's nice. Okay, but we still want our player to use some gravity, so let's create a 3D object called plane, and not as a child, and scale it a little bit. I will call it terrain. And now click on our player and add capsule collider, and now you can hit this cube, meaning enter in isometric mode, grab the X and then make your collider as you want it to be. Let's uncheck gizmos for now. That's too big. And uncheck isometric mode when you are satisfied. Okay. And another thing that we need is rigid body component. So add rigid body. You don't have to give it really big mass. 10. And now when I move our player up and start the game, he falls and stops on the ground, and if I uncheck maximize on play, you see that gravity works, and I still have my orbiting camera. And you know what, let me change this value to 6 because I still think vertical speed is too big. Okay. So that's nice. Now let's grab walking animation, which is this. I'm gonna duplicate that and put it into animations folder, and I also gonna grab walk forward wide and also put it into animations folder. Not really those, but those. I'm gonna change those names. Turn. And here will be like player walk. And now we don't need keyframe reduction, and let's make the clip as short as possible, and make sure you have loop pose selected, root transform rotation baked, root transform position Y baked. And now, as you can see, our player walks, but there is a problem. Let me increase the speed. As you see, he isn't really walking in a straight line, but drifting somehow. And in order to fix that, the number that you can see here, average velocity, this is an X value, and we must make it 0 by changing the baked transform rotation. It don't have to be 0, but okay. And now, as you see, I'm just going forward. no matter how far. And let's drag and drop it here. Let's change names of them. Walk forward, and here just type idle. And now let's start the game, and when I click here and set as a default state, that's because our player has a rigid body component, and when we play animation, the physics just make this stuff looks really funny. And in order to fix that, just freeze him rotation, because we don't want it to be calculated by physics engine. And now we are just walking forward, but as you see, his legs, you see. And in order to fix that, just enable foot IK. And now he walks correctly. Sorry for interrupting the video. I'm back. I just enabled for IK for idle animation, and now we need to set up some transitions. So let's quickly, I'm pressing right mouse button, I'm clicking make transition, and I'm dragging arrow on other node and add parameter called movement, and then make the condition uncheck exit time and make the condition value greater than 0.1, and condition from going back, let's see, less than 0.5. Anyway, these are just something that I tried. Anyway, let's create a script called player motion. Drag and drop it on the player, and edit it. First thing that we're gonna do is, of course, delete unused namespace, delete that, and we need to set up reference for our animator. And there are two ways. First is just type public animator anim, and just manually take this animator and drag it over here. But the better way is to make this private, and in awake function set up reference using get component. So type anim equals get component animator. Okay. Right now we don't have this public field, but our animator is reference, and I can access it by pressing anim that and stuff like that. And first I'm gonna set the float, so I'm gonna type anim that set float, and the movement value, so movement, and the second one, the value would be input that get axis vertical. Now, as you see, when I play the game, I press W and my character walks, and I press it back, he stops. But I want him to go in the direction that camera is pointing. So in order to do that, we first need reference to our center point. And the best way is to just set up public reference. So let's type public transform center point. And drag and drop it here. And now the easiest way to do it is just to type transform that Euler angles equals new vector 3, and we're not gonna change x and z rotation, so just type transform that Euler angles that x, and here would be center point that Euler angles that y, and also we don't want to change z rotation, also transform that Euler angles that z. So this is the easiest way, I think. And as you see, our player goes into the direction that my camera is pointing. But the first problem is that when I stop, he still rotates in place. That's not what we're gonna do. So in order to fix that, let's tag walking animation as turnable, and we will execute this only if anim that get current state info layer index would be 0 because it's base layer, then is tag turnable, and then we will execute this line of code. And now if I walk, he fits into camera. When I stop, I can orbit around him. And there are, oh, you see that this is the mistake of this solution, that he changes the rotation pretty strange. So let's make his rotation interpolating and make him slowly rotate. So let's, instead of this, let's type math.lerp from transform that position that way into center point that position that y in time that delta time, and I also need some public variable, public float rotation speed, and multiply this rotation speed. I have no idea how much would it be, so let's 20 and start the game. Something's not really working correctly. Okay, I've probably done a mistake, so let's just add to the rotation that we currently have this value. Okay, that's a mistake. Okay, I know, I just type position, not Euler angles. Anyway, now he still fits, so let's decrease the speed. And as you see, sometimes he behaves really strangely, but when I move him just a little bit, it works. So in order to fix that, we will change, and then I will put plus equals, so I don't want to add any rotation by x-axis and by x and z axis, and here I'm gonna from transfer temp position I'm gonna do I don't need lab, I think it's just math that delta angle and from transform that Euler angles that way into center point that Euler angles that way. And now let's start the game, and as you see he still rotates too fast, so it's 5. And now it's much more cool. I mean, there's no mistakes in rotation unless I move camera. It's hard to do actually, but as you see, when I move camera from the other side, he just calculates the shortest angle and slowly rotates into that. And that's what we're gonna do. Actually, we will then use some turning animations, and we will decrease this value to just help us rotate the player and make animations behave properly. But for now I will leave it, and we'll see when I stop. So this is the most simple solution, I believe. I'm sorry that I cannot show all of the lines here, but as you see the resolution is really low. So actually let's go through that, what we do once again, to make sure that you understand everything. So once an animation that we are currently playing is turnable, we add to our rotation new by y-axis new value, which is the delta angle between our current angle and the angle that the camera is pointing. We multiply this by time, that delta time, to be frame independent, and then we multiply this by some rotation speed that we choose in inspector window. The length of this video is moving close to 30 minutes, so I decided to stop here. What we've done today is we made our character moving and we using gravity, and we made our character turning into the direction that camera is pointing. In the next part we will finish what we've started today. We'll probably make him turning by choosing the direction via keyboard, and we will add some turning animation, and then we will add some running, but I believe it will be in part 5. So thanks for today, thanks for watching, and stay tuned. Bye.